Okay, everybody. What I wanted to do today was to go over the remaining state test exam multiple choice questions. So this is from the 2013 June exam. The exam from 2 years ago that students just like yourselves took. So this is the exam from 2 years ago. And we left off with question 18 last time, so we'll start out with question 19. We'll finish this up in this video, and then we'll take a look at the part 2 section. So for number 19, they're talking about abnormal cell division, so when cells don't divide normally, like growth and repair or asexual reproduction. We're talking about cancer, essentially. So the disease cancer is a abnormal cell division. Okay, for number 20, we have a compost pile, and we have decaying plant and animal materials. This process puts nutrients back in the soil. The bacteria and fungi that break down the plant material, these are decomposers. Okay, so we're talking about decomposers for number 20. 21, herbivores. Herbivores obtain most of their energy by consuming plants. A community in biology is all of the living populations or organisms in an area. So for this one, the best choice would be number 1, populations living in an area. A population is one species. A community is multiple species. We're a population of human beings in school, or we're part of a community made up of not only people, but birds and deer and other animals. Here's 23. If an ecosystem's balance is disrupted by a volcanic eruption, the most likely change would be that the ecosystem over time will become balanced again. The volcano may destroy a lot of wildlife and habitat, but eventually things will recover. We'll get plants regrowing. Things will come back and return to normal. Okay, let's go up to question 24. Okay, so here we've got the moon and the earth. We have arrow X, which represents the force of gravity, holding the moon in orbit around the earth. Now, one thing that I'd like to spend more time reviewing with you when I'm back in person, or maybe not even, maybe in a video, I'm not sure, but the phases of the moon. And the phases of the moon, even if you weren't sure about this, take about 1 month. You can think about the full moon. We don't have a full moon every day. We don't have a full moon every week. And we certainly don't have a full moon only once a year. We have a full moon much more often than one time a year. So the best answer there would be once a month. The layered mixtures of gas surrounding Earth, that's our atmosphere. The geologic process occurs when the acid in precipitation dissolves certain types of rock. That's weathering, and that's something that we'll talk about in more detail. Weathering means the breakdown of rock. So we're talking about the breakdown of rock. So that's 27. Okay, 28, we have a map of the United States. We have longitude up here. This is longitude lines. Longitude go north to south. Latitude are on the sides here. Sometimes people think of latitude as being kind of like a ladder, like the rungs of the ladder. And the rungs of the ladder do go up and down, north and south, but they go across north and south. Anyway, it's asking about city A and city B. So city A is going to be at the same line of latitude as city B. And remember, these lines are curved because Earth is a sphere. Earth is round. So they're on the same line of latitude, but they have different longitudes, which means this would be number 1. Same latitude, but different longitudes. Here's question 29. It says, which diagram best represents the tilt of the Earth's axis in December? In December, in the northern hemisphere, this is winter for us, which means we get less light. We have seasons on our planet because of the tilt of Earth's axis. At some times in the year, we're facing away from the sun, and other times we're facing towards the sun. In situation 2, we're facing away from the sun. The northern hemisphere, the top half of the planet essentially, is mostly in the dark. We have a little bit of light, but we're mostly in the dark, and that makes this winter in the northern hemisphere, and December is certainly part of winter. Over here, this would be summer. These two situations, this would be equinox, which means basically spring and fall. This situation we would never happen because of the way it's north and south are oriented. Okay, let's see. Here's question 30. With question 30, we've got the sun, earth, and the moon. And it says, which diagram represents the phase of the moon as viewed from X? So that means that you're a person looking up at the night sky, and you look up at the moon and you see this. Half the moon is in shadow, half the moon is lit. Alright, light. You're looking up at the lit portion of the moon. And again, I'd like to spend more time doing moon phases with you at some point. But when you look up in the night sky, you're going to see the moon completely illuminated, which means you would see a full moon. Sometimes people say, well, how come the Earth doesn't block the light going to the moon in this situation? If that were to happen, you would have an eclipse, but things have to line up just right for that to happen. Most of the time, it doesn't. These distances are not to scale. It says right here, not drawn to scale. These objects in space are actually a lot smaller and much further apart, and that's the reason the Earth doesn't block the light going to the moon normally. It does happen, and in that case, we would have an eclipse. Okay, here's question 31. We have gas molecules inside of a sealed container. It says, which best represents the arrangement of gas molecules? Well, gas molecules are going to spread out evenly throughout the container. They have a lot of kinetic energy, a high speed, they're moving quickly, and since they're spreading out all over equally, it would be choice 3. Okay, here's question 32. We have some mountain chains. We've got the Cascades in the Pacific Northwest. We've got the Sierra Nevadas over here. We've got the Andes Mountains down here in South America. And we get mountains forming when we have the collision of tectonic plates, which is choice 3. A lithospheric plate, lithospheric basically means rock, and we have these tectonic plates that make up the surface of the Earth. Okay, this one is showing a comet. Okay, a comet is a ball of ice, and when it gets closer to the sun, it melts, and that's what creates the tail that we see in the picture. Lots of drops of melted ice, liquid water, and some other gases and things like that. But it's mostly ice, and as it gets close to the sun, it starts melting, and then that creates the tail. Many of you probably picked asteroid. This is a rock in space. It's basically just a large rock. And that's not going to create a tail like you can see here. There's going to be no melting of that rock. It's not going to get hot enough. This wouldn't be a star. Stars are in the background. They're going to be little points of light. They're not going to look like that. And it's certainly not a moon. Okay, getting near the end. Okay, here's question 34. Scientists have discovered fossils of the same organism in many different parts of the world. These fossils provide evidence that the continents were once joined together. If we find the same fossil in many different locations, that means that the land masses were once connected. Okay, for 35, the amount of which greenhouse gas in the air will increase the most if large forests are cut down. If we cut down the forests, we're going to be building up large amounts of carbon dioxide. Remember, trees take in carbon dioxide and they give off, they essentially exhale oxygen. Because copper is a metal, well, it's not liquid at room temperature, It's a good conductor of heat. The best frying pans and cooking pots and pans are made out of copper. They're very expensive. Okay, here we've got question 37. Student placed a rock in a graduated cylinder. We have an increase by 20 milliliters. This increase represents the volume, the amount of space that the rock takes up. Okay, for 38, we've got some ice cubes. These little droplets of liquid water are condensation. Okay, condensation. The water vapor in the air cools because of the ice and condenses and forms little water droplets on the outside surface of the glass. Condensation means that we go from gas to a liquid. When we have water vapor in the air, I think that we all know that the air is kind of humid sometimes. And when we cool that humid air down, we get liquid water, which we see on the drops of an ice cold glass. Okay, let's see, for 39, we drop a ball from a roof. Which position has the greatest amount of kinetic energy? Greatest kinetic energy is going to be right before it hits the ground at C. The problem with D is that it's already hit the ground and it's lost energy, but it's going to be moving at its fastest at point C. Sunglasses. People often wear sunglasses in polar regions because most of the sunlight that strikes a snow-covered surface is reflected. You've probably noticed this. You come outside from the snow, obviously not this winter, but you have a little trouble seeing when you come to the house. Your eyes are readjusting because there's so much light reflected off the snow. It's so bright. When rubber bands vibrate, that would be, for this one, that's going to be sound. You can hear that sound. Here we have a 800 gram load across the floor. If the load were reduced to 400 grams and the force used to move the cart remained the same, the cart is going to move faster. For 43, the type of energy transferred from one object to another by simple machines would be mechanical energy. It's mechanical, and we only have 2 questions left. Okay, for 44, we have magnets. We just did magnets in class. And it says, which 2 magnets greatest attraction? Opposites attract, so that would be choice 2. And for 45, you let the balloon go, it's going to move forward. That's Newton's 3rd law of motion. And for this one, the answer would be the force from the escaping air. Okay, so we'll do this kind of review a couple more times before the actual exam, and we'll talk about the part 2 section in another video. Okay. So that's it for now. We'll do part 2 another day. Hope everything is going well. Thanks. Bye.